Hello and welcome to this edition of the Epro 360 Hero's Journey interview with Marvin Diebel. Hero's Journey because this guy has a lot to share. This Marvin Diebel is with us today after having gone through 1.5 years now of your study experience. You have one semester ahead of you, but you're already packed with experience. So why don't you give a little introduction about yourself to our viewers so they know who we're talking about.
Of course, yeah. I mean, as you already mentioned, I'm Marvin, so I study at the OCC right now. It is south of LA, located, it's called Orange Coast, basically. And yeah, what you mentioned, in my last semester, I will basically start my last semester in spring and will graduate in user experience design.
Okay, perfect. So before we go deeper into the experience you're having there at OCC, I guess that's the official abbreviation.
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
Take us back to the moment in time when you were not studying in the US yet, but you made the decision to do so. Where were you in life and why did you decide to pursue a degree in the US?
I was basically on the finish line for my bachelor's degree. So I have a bachelor's degree here in Germany, or basically I finished one, but I couldn't really see myself in that industry. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, I always wanted to be self-employed, so I couldn't see myself there, so I figured out something else with a friend of mine. I started together with him a startup, and to get more experience, I basically to get to know that industry a bit better, I thought it could be a good idea to study in the US. Based on that, I figured out a quite good and fitting program for that startup, so yeah. I did the decision to go to the OCC.
And why OCC specifically, and why that degree? I think you're pursuing a user experience design as your major.
Exactly. The reason for it is that I couldn't find a program like that anywhere else in the US. I only had it, or I basically only found it at the OCC because it was so specific. And the second main thought behind it was that it only takes me 2 years to graduate because I'm only doing my certificate instead of the whole bachelor degree. And based on the fact that it's so focused, I don't have to do, or basically also based on the fact that it's only a certificate, I don't have to do general education.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's very focused and it's very applicable to your startup idea, right?
It is.
Maybe you can give a little pitch to everybody watching. What are you doing?
In a startup?
Yes.
Or in the program?
In the startup.
The startup itself is like a networking app, so we try to combine LinkedIn, Instagram and Tinder in some way because it's on a selection base. We really try to help, especially the younger generation, to connect to each other, to build and to grow your network how it should be.
Okay. So you say that OCC, obviously it's a very focused program, so you're there for the academia, but not just that. You're in California. There's a lot of life going on around that.
Yeah.
Could you maybe share some pictures so people can imagine what your life there looks like? All the experiences you're making outside or on campus.
I mean, you definitely spend a lot of time on campus. I think that's quite usual for the US in general because there's a lot of stuff going on campus. There are a lot of events and or activities. You can join clubs in your student government. For a lot of internationals, it's also really interesting to work on campus, but off campus...
do you work as well?
I do, yeah, okay. Yeah, I do. I work at the student union, so we are basically organizing all the events and activities on campus. So I definitely know what's going on campus, which is quite good. And we just help the students to get involved, basically. But off campus, there's also a lot of stuff you can do. I mean, especially in California, if you like the beaches and if you like to surf, that's the perfect spot. You can also, it's not that far to LA. What I mentioned is literally located just a bit south of LA. So you can hit LA every time and every weekend whenever you would like to see all the typical signs.
Wait a second. You say you're close to LA. That's one thing to spend a lot of time with. It's Los Angeles after all. You do your own startup. You have your regular coursework, which is why you're there.
Yeah.
You work in the student union.
Yeah.
You sleep, eat, I suppose. How do you fit it all in?
I'm just quite organized.
Okay.
I don't need a lot of sleep. I'm quite fine with 6 hours, but I still get the 6 hours, so that's totally fine. But yeah, I'm just organized. I really schedule my days, and I just try to be time efficient as possible.
Okay. What are the biggest benefits you feel like you've gotten out of this time so far?
Definitely, first of all, my English improvement. I feel it that you don't really have to think about it anymore. You just speak it and you think in English, so it's just coming out. You don't have to translate it in your brain or like in your thoughts. That's I think one of the biggest benefits. Other than that, I grew personally quite a lot. So I figured out more what I want and like what I would like to pursue in life. Mm-hmm. Other than that, it is definitely quite a bit, or actually a big benefit to have that deeper and more personal contact to your professors so that it can really help you even more.
How does that look like? Is it, I mean, I guess professors have their own experience in, like they have their regular curriculum, but then you have your very specific thing you want to build, your startup. So can you share a little bit how working together with a professor helps you achieve your own goals?
First of all, they are always interested in what you do personally. So they ask quite often like, what's your goal? Or basically, where do you want to work later on? Based on that, I usually introduce myself even with like, hey, I'm a startup founder, and so that's one of my bigger goals, to work there and to have basically to do it full time. So they are really interested in that, and they just come around in class and even ask you about that or just help you with stuff. So I had professors overlook my designs for my startup. The second thing is that based on the fact that my program is really assignment and project based, we have a lot of projects and assignments where we have the freedom to design certain stuff under certain criteria, but we have the freedom to select what kind of stuff we would like to design.
Okay.
So I was actually even able to use one of those projects and designs to bring it into my app.
Yeah. So you say we a lot. I guess that's because you have co-founders, or is it because you have a team of classmates that support you, that fall behind your vision?
I mean, I actually have some of my colleagues. They are really interested in that app. So they are just asking all the time. We were like, okay, dude, when do you launch it? Like
Okay.
when can we use it? And it's quite sad because we will only launch it for the first time in Germany. So
okay.
Yeah. So we will need a bit longer to really launch it worldwide. But they are really interested in it, and they actually helped me figuring out certain things. Also, why I say we is based on the professors, because they helped me. So that is also a fact why I have more people to share my thoughts with. And yeah, I have a co-founder. So we are a team of 2 right now, and we are actually considering bringing in a third person.
Cool. How about the network of other students there? Do you meet Epro 360 students, for example, in the area? How's that support network?
I actually do. I met, especially in the beginning, I did quite a lot with Kara. She's in Irvine. So that's right next to Costa Mesa, where the OCC is located. I'm also doing quite a lot with Alex and Tizzy. They are in the Epro community as well.
Oh, so you mean like you said, okay, so they're studying at OCC as well, right?
They do, yeah.
So in other words, you have a network of Epro 360 students on campus, but then also in the larger LA community, there are other locations where you can
definitely. I actually also met students from Long Beach and USC, for example, which is in LA.
Cool. Perfect. So one question I guess I have is all this time, everything you're talking about right now is going to come to an end.
Yeah.
And then the next chapter of life opens.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself? What's the ambition with the app and for your career?
There are actually 3 options that I'm considering right now. The dream would be the first option, that we are able to do the startup full time, to really spend all of our time by developing that startup and by developing that app. It really depends on how many investors, or basically how much money we can fundraise. Based on that, it would be the dream to open up our own office and to do it full time. That would be the first option, so to come back to Germany and do like our own thing. The second option would be that we do it as a split and parallel version, so that I would start working in the design industry, because I still like the industry a lot. So I would just take a job offer, work here in Germany, maybe like 30 or 20 hours, so that I still have the time to spend enough time for my startup. The third option actually would be to stay in the US, to use the so-called OPT, and to get more work experience at bigger players, for example, Adobe or Google.
By the way, for anybody watching, the OPT is something you will get, or you will have the option to get, on an F1 student visa. It's an allowance for you to work off campus and then make money off campus, so like a mini green card in a way. Now, you are in this support network. Obviously, the Epro 360 community is part of it. Then you are at your university support network. If you have any, like, I'm curious, when we got you there, you know, we were there mainly for you, to get you to the US.
Yeah.
Are you able to reach out to us? Or do you feel connected? Is there anything like a desire that you feel like you want to accomplish where the Epro 360 community can help you with?
Absolutely. I mean, especially in the first month, I had still quite a lot of questions, and I could always reach out to you to ask about that, and I got always help. After that, it's quite normal to just figure out more and more steps on your own. Like you don't really have the need that much anymore to really reach out to others. But what I feel quite a lot is that other students are reaching out to other students, basically. So I have, for example, Alex, I helped her by or with the decision to what kind of university or basically where to go.
Okay.
So it's still a lot of stuff is going on in that community. Nice. Definitely.
Good to know. Now, you mentioned that you helped one Epro 360 students figure out to study at OCC specifically, and there was a friendship coming out of it. That's good. But there are students way earlier, not even to decide, am I going to study at which university am I going to study? Because those students already know that they're going. What would you tell somebody watching this video who is just considering going to the US but haven't really made up their mind yet?
I would say it really depends on what kind of decision maker you are. So if you're an emotional decision maker, just listen to your guts. Like, that's definitely the best point you can do. Just listen to that inner voice in you, and if it basically screams after going to the yes or basically going to the yes, do it. Otherwise, if you're more the fact-based decision maker, just write down a pro and contra list. Just the pro and cons, write it down, and then figure out, is it the way for you? And don't be afraid.
Thanks for sharing your wisdom with us. Thanks for sharing your wisdom, your time with us today. I know you're about to head home and see your parents again once and for all. So that's important. Marvin, I wish you all the best for what's to come. I mean, for the last semester, but then also for the chapter after. For you mentioned Chicago, maybe. May your US time just be just continue to unfold in the most amazing way that you wish for, or better than that.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye.